All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time, and welcome once again to the transmission of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment, Step 6, which is titled Gatherings. The idea now in Step 6 is connected to what you have already called CE5s, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, where you gather together with other like-minded individuals to create communication, connection, and contact from humans up to ETs to do several things that can grab, as you say, the attention of UFOs passing by, to ask them to stop or to show themselves or to demonstrate that they are something different than your airplanes, than your satellites, by maneuvering in certain ways you know that you do not generally have the technology to exhibit. So these gatherings can be either that you find individuals and groups that are already doing this in certain areas on your planet and you can join them, or using your own creative imagination to create such a gathering, to pull together people, initiating a gathering of your own and demonstrating through the flashing of lights. Do not use lasers. The flashing of regular lights in patterns, the idea of meditations, reaching out telepathically to ships passing by, to ask them with respect to stop, to show themselves to you, to demonstrate unusual maneuvers, to begin the contact process from your side as well as from our side, to start learning how to initiate the idea of the invitation to create communion, connection, contact, community between humans on Earth and your galactic family. So gatherings are important. Find a place. Generally speaking, it is best if it is somewhat remote. We have before talked about certain areas on your planet, such as Joshua Tree, as being more conducive to receiving interaction from UFOs, UAPs, from our ships, whatever you wish to call them, doesn't matter to us. But putting these gatherings together not only builds connection between humans on Earth and ETs, but also connections between the humans themselves with each other, to create communities of similar vibration, to get you all into a similar frequency, to be willing to be open to contact, which is not so very far away. So this is an acceleration, an opportunity with the changing frequencies that now exist on your planet to choose to navigate in the direction of the versions of the parallel reality Earths that will experience contact in the not so distant future. In just a few years, it will begin. But this will help accelerate, unify, bond within a similar frequency many humans on your planet, if you will be willing to undertake the joining of groups that are doing this, or creating your own groups. This will accelerate that bonding experience. This will create a broader frequency around the planet, depending upon how many of you are willing to do this, that can establish the correct frequency to navigate to the versions of Earth that will experience open contact. Allow yourself to be creative. Allow yourself to be imaginative. Allow yourself to be bold and go forth. Allow yourself to be connected, to be open, to be willing, to receive, to give, to form the link, to form the bridge between your world and our worlds, between your world and the stars, between your soul and our souls, between your spirits and our spirits, between your minds and our minds. Do these gatherings, if you wish, as step 6 of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment, because it involves activity, action, doing. It involves the commitment to the idea of being willing to participate in open contact, in the Interstellar Alliance social experiment being given to Earth, to you, as a gift to allow you to experience more of yourselves as you experience more of the cosmos, more of the family that awaits you out here, and that can eventually come to Earth, so that you understand that Earth is your home. Not just the idea of any specific city, not just the idea of any specific country, but that you begin energetically to dissolve the borders and understand that Earth is your home, that you start identifying the entire planet as your home, that you reach out as the entire planet from your home to our homes among the stars. So gather, enjoy, reach out, feel unconditional love, both in giving and receiving, and invite us to interact with you. There will be more and more each time you do this, a buildup of the frequency and more responses until such time as you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are here around your world, interacting with you, sending you love, sending you joy, and that it is our passion and our pleasure to be welcome into your home as we welcome you into ours. So gather, and gather together. We thank you for allowing us to share step 6 of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment, and we thank you for your willingness to be of service to humanity and to the cosmos in this way, by your participation. In return for the gift you have given us in allowing us to experience all of you, I ask, as usual, now, in what way may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin with your dialogues and your questions, if you wish.
Hi, Bashar. Quick question. I'm listening to some different videos on Gaia, and I'm hearing about the life review and the choices we make when we pass on. And I'm wondering that when you do your life review, if you've had more negative than positive things show up in your life review, do you automatically have to come back on Earth to try again? Or can you go to the 4th dimension? Or is there some other place that you can go? Thank you.
Yes, several places. If you feel that there is a need to balance what has happened in a certain way, then you will make that choice and you will go wherever it is when you want to go there that you feel is most appropriate for you. You have total free will as a spirit. So you may have to finish or complete something to rebalance yourself because you agreed to do so. But when, where, and how you do so is completely up to you. Good day, good day.
Hi, Bashar. I would like to, first of all, thank you for your love and wisdom that you share with us. It was really exciting journey and it helped me so much. And I love to see the synchronicity popping into my life when I act on my joy. So thank you.
Yes, it is our passion and our pleasure. What would you like to discuss this day?
Yes, first question is about my counterpart from Sirius. I meditated and I saw a woman with octopus hair. Am I on the right track, or can you tell me more about her?
Well, you're getting a symbolic representation of the fact that they are amphibious creatures. They don't look like that. They don't have what you call octopus hair. But the idea is that they are amphibious. They look a little bit more like what you would call a salamander, something similar to that idea, or a cross between a salamander and a humanoid form. But they don't have octopus hair. But that's your symbol for reflecting the idea that they spend a lot of their time in the water, that they are highly intelligent, as octopi also are, or octopuses if you prefer. But the idea is that simply something that is most closely related to the idea of the Sirius beings in their amphibious form. So you are making that connection. It's just that you have a more symbolic representation of how they appear rather than a literal one.
Okay. Is she having a message for me?
To go forth, to be bold, to be yourself, to be true, to dig deep into your emotionality and understand how the emotions work with belief systems to reinforce the idea of whatever reality you believe is true for you.
Okay, thank you. All right, my next question is about an ET encounter that I had this year. I was making asleep my son, and it was foggy outside. And we make fun with my partner when it's foggy that ETs are doing some stuff behind the scene. And all of a sudden, I saw a big white tall being behind my glass window, and it started to enter the room with hand, and then it started to elongate the fingers, and I got really scared. I don't know who the being was and what was the person. Can you tell me more about that?
Why were you scared?
Oh, I don't know how to overcome this fear because I did the exercise with the picture on the window, and I tried to work with my limiting beliefs. I don't know, it just was fight or flight. Like I felt like I will be eaten like a
All right.
dinosaur is approaching, basically.
Yes, all right. Well, again, this is relatively common at this stage in human evolution, in that when you are exposed to higher frequency beings, you interpret that, or your body interprets that, as if you are being exposed to spirit, which your body interprets as if you are dying. And that's why you go into panic mode, survival mode, fight or flight mode, because you interpret the frequency as if your mind is dying. You're not going to die, but that's the way your body interprets that frequency until such time as you allow yourself enough practice to get used to it so that you don't fear dying anymore when you feel that frequency, that energy. So this being was giving you an opportunity to practice being exposed to their higher frequency, to get used to the idea over time, so that by the time open contact happens, your people will not panic. You will not fear that exposure to our higher frequencies will cause you to die. So this is simply an opportunity to practice letting go and letting your body calm down when exposed to that higher frequency.
What can I do to, let my body calm down in that moment?
Well, you can talk to your body consciousness and let it know, have a conversation with it, let it know that it's not going to die, that this is going to be an ecstatic experience, that it will include your body consciousness in this experience. It will not be annihilated. You have to spend some time actually calming it down by having conversations with your body consciousness, with your physical mind. So let your spirit talk to your physical mind. Let your soul, your higher mind, talk to your physical mind. Set aside time to actually have conversations, explain what's going on to yourself, to your physical mind, and let it become used to the idea and let it know that it will not be annihilated and it will not die, because it can raise its frequency with you and become a fourth density being that can thrive in that higher frequency, that you yourself are becoming higher in frequency. And therefore, as you get used to the higher frequency within your own body, you can also get used to the higher frequencies of other beings who may come to you. So have those conversations with your physical mind.
Okay.
Explain
And-
it as you would explain it to a child.
Okay, I will do. And was the being from Sirius? Or was it some different species?
No, it was a different species. It may be a mix of what you call Pleiadian and tall white.
Okay, all right. Thank you. My third question is about a challenge I'm going through.
Yeah.
And my son, he's a toddler, and he doesn't like to sleep, or he sleeps very little since being baby. And I know sleep is vital. It's one of the 7 needs.
Yes, but remember, we also talk about the idea that the new generations are different and may not necessarily have the same biological rhythms as those people on your planet from the past. So let it find its own natural rhythm, your child. Let him sleep when he knows he needs to sleep. Let it be a natural thing. Don't force it.
Okay. And how about me? Because I'm really tired. Can I somehow replace or get energy from different source, or what should I do?
Again, you must find your own natural biological rhythm. There may be times when you need to be asleep when you think you should be awake, and times when you should be awake when you think you need to be asleep. So you need to find your own natural rhythm that energizes you, resets you, refreshes you, but it may be at different times of the day or night than you think. So fall into a more natural rhythm. When you have energy, be awake. When you feel tired, go to sleep, no matter what time it is. If you need to arrange for someone to look after your child while you sleep, do so.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I have one more question. It's regarding a tortoise, because I got a pet, a tortoise, and it's.
Are
it's
you
a very
saying
strange-
tortoise?
Tortoise. Yeah. Correct. Correct.
Tortoise.
Yes, exactly. The turtle on the ground.
Yes.
So, and yeah, it's very strange because I feel very loved by that being, and I would never get the tortoise. And yeah, so is there something I'm learning from the tortoise, or is there some connection to reptilians and ETs?
To some degree, but mostly it's a symbol of slow down a little bit.
Okay.
Take your time, enjoy the moment, stay in the present.
Yeah. Okay.
All right?
All right. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are so welcome. Our love to you. Good day.
Good day.
Hey, what's going on, Bashar? It's Rohan, aka RX Mundi from Bucks County, PA. Back with another question. As you might remember, I am a rap artist, and I do have a upcoming project titled Dark Night of the Soul. It's an EP that I've been working on. And I was just curious to get your perspective, maybe you and your civilization. How do you define a Dark Night of the Soul? Do you have them on your planet? Any insights into this? Causes? Maybe maybe what's like the purpose of a Dark Night of the Soul? You hear it talked about a lot in like spiritual circles. And any information you could share on that, I would greatly appreciate. And thanks so much for your time, as always, Bashar. Aveo.
No, we do not have them on our planet because we are willing to face our challenges with full consciousness. The dark night of the soul is a device that humans often use to isolate themselves in a way where they force themselves to go finally in a direction that they need to go in because they simply have no other choice. They either have to face it and come up with an inspiration that leads them in a direction that will serve them and expand them, or often they will simply take themselves out of physical reality and they will die. So the idea is to allow yourself to understand that this is the general purpose of the dark night of the soul in human terms, is to put yourself in a situation where you have no choice but to either move forward or leave this physical reality. The synchronicity that you are experiencing at this moment is that it is your higher self calling to you. to get you to pay attention to something that is very important. And that is the synchronicity of the sound that you are hearing right now. You are receiving a call from your soul, from your higher mind, from your higher self, to really isolate what's really important in your life, to figure that out and make a choice that leads you in a direction toward the light of your being that will allow you to finally break free from the idea of negativity, from fear-based beliefs, and truly be yourself. Truly move in that direction. You give yourself no choice by putting yourself through that degree of challenge in your life. But remember, you have to be a very strong soul and a very strong spirit in order to have attracted that experience to yourself. So having a dark night of the soul is often a very powerful sign of how powerful you are as a spirit in your capability to transform your life in a positive way by going through that challenging experience. That's what it's for. It removes any other option from you other than the idea of moving straight forward as your true self, or simply leaving physical reality altogether and starting again.
Hi.
Good day to you,
It's an honor to speak with you.
as it is for us with you as well.
Thank you. My first question is, I do things like automatic writing.
All
I've
right.
seen things before they happen,
Yes.
and I have at one point left my physical body, and there are various other things.
All right. How exciting.
Yes. How how can I use this within this lifetime to uplift humanity? Like, what is the purpose of me even knowing this at this time?
Well, these things are the result and side effects of the expansion of consciousness going on your planet at this time. Certainly, through automatic writing, you can bring through information that may be of assistance and helpful to other people, yes?
Yes,
So, isn't that of service to humanity in that particular method?
yes,
And seeing things before they physically manifest, isn't that also something that could be, in some way, shape, or form, used to serve others?
yes,
Because you understand that prediction is simply an awareness of the energy that exists at the moment the prediction is made. If you sense that energy and tell someone what the energy is that you're sensing, what the likelihood is of something manifesting, and it's something they don't prefer, then you've given them an opportunity to realize what the energy is like and how they may be able to change it if it is something that they would rather change. Isn't that being of service to someone as well?
yes, it is.
So why is it so mysterious and so strange about how to use these expanded consciousness abilities in service to humanity?
Um, I guess I guess I really don't know the answer to that, except for the fact that I didn't know anybody in my personal life who was able to do anything like that, and I always felt just completely different from everybody around me.
All right, well, it's becoming more common, and many more people understand that these abilities are possible.
Yes.
And therefore, when you are out of body, you could go different places, you could gather information, you could bring it back to humanity in different ways on different subjects. This is a lot of what some of the ancient, shall we say, priestesshood used to do in Atlantis, in ancient Egypt. They would go into these out of body states, they would go and gather information from higher realms and bring that information back and apply it in their society. And that can be information about anything. It can be information about the nature of humanity, the nature of nature. It can be the nature of technology. It can be all sorts of cosmic information and answers that could help humanity. So you can go and gather information out of body, bring it back, remember to transmit or write this information down, and share it with those who are willing to receive it. Is that not something you think you
Yes.
can do?
Absolutely, thank you.
All right. So
Um,
then you can be of humanity's service in many different ways. Yes?
Yes, yes,
All right.
yes, absolutely.
All right. So,
My next question is, in your realm, where you live,
yes.
um, how does your society interact with animals and the earth in order to like how do they?
On our world of Sessathani, we interact with animals all the time. But our world is left relatively natural. We don't have big built up cities. Our cities are our spaceships. So when we are on our planet physically, the animals, in a sense, have the run of the place, I suppose you would say, and everything operates on pure synchronism. So the animals will come to us, or we will find animals that wish to engage with us, wish to communicate with us in a variety of telepathic ways, and we enjoy these communions and interactions very much. They are intelligent beings, they have their own reflections, they have their own purpose, they have their own lives, and we interact with them as we would interact with any member of our society.
That's beautiful. Would you be able to provide information as to how we could interact with animals in a kinder, more respectful way, and just being able to communicate with them?
Yes, well, most animals will communicate with the idea of visualization. In other words, send them pictures and feelings rather than words. They will pick up on that, and they will get used to that form of communication coming from humans, which at this point is relatively rare, except for those humans who have really developed a love bond with animals. So the idea is that they will receive those pictures, see them doing what it is you are attempting to communicate with them, and see them doing it in your mind's eye, and send the feeling that goes with it. Send feelings of love with the pictures that you imagine them performing, those actions in the visualization, in your imagination, and eventually you will see them reflecting those actions themselves. And you will start to develop more telepathic communication with them. Remember, it's not telepathy, it's telepathy. You have to have a bond, a love bond with the animal.
And can you do something similar with the plants with the earth itself?
Absolutely.
That makes sense. And
I
one
know.
final quick question would be, when we speak about love, to me, when I like there are moments where I feel like it's almost like an eternal love, but
Yes,
it feels like a stillness, a very,
it
very, very
is.
still.
It is. The idea of what you translate as the sensation of unconditional love is your physical translation of the frequency of existence itself. That's how you translate it. So it's going to feel infinite, eternal, and still, but at the same time will feel very active and engaging and energetic because it is the actual frequency of existence itself.
Wow. That's that is very beautiful, and I'm sure I could have another million questions to ask you, but thank you so much for providing this information, for contacting us, for thank you so much. I truly feel honored.
It is our passion and our pleasure, and we are honored as well. Good day. Aveo.
Good day. Okay.
Hi Bashar! 1 month ago, I birthed a beautiful baby boy, and I am looking for clarity and help on releasing the story of trauma that I am telling myself of how I could have created the birthing experience that I did. I was planning a at-home on natural water birth, and because of complications and because my son did not arrive until almost 43 weeks, we ended up at the hospital having to go through every medical procedure I did not want, that I did not plan for, which ended up resulting in an emergency C-section to save my son and I's life. If you can please help me to understand how I may have created this, how we create the things around the birthing experience, and if you can give any insights on why a soul might choose to come in versus C-section or vaginal birth, and if my son chose this.
All of it was chosen by both of you to experience challenges in a way that allows you to drop your insistence and your assumption about how you think things need to happen. So you gave yourself an opportunity to learn a valuable lesson about not being so insistent on the idea of what you typically call a spiritual way of doing things, so that you can validate all pathways as being equally spiritual if they are capable of providing the lessons you need to learn for your soul's growth in this life. So your child helped you understand this by taking you through a completely unexpected series of experiences on the path of birthing something that includes not only the birthing of your child, but the birthing of a new you that will relax your insistence on the way you think things need to go in order to accomplish what you need in this life. It doesn't mean you have to suffer or have to experience pain to do so, but it was a lesson that made you face the idea that sometimes you may be invalidating pathways that actually would be what you actually need for your soul's growth, rather than simply assuming that you can do things in what your society more classically might say is a more spiritual way, as if you should be beyond the idea of experiencing physical reality, which is equally valid to any spiritual experience whatsoever. So it's about relaxing the idea of separating the validation and the validity of spiritual experiences from spirit, and allowing yourself to accept that it is all a spiritual experience and is valid for your soul's growth. And then you may experience the effortlessness of a new path that is more representative of your true self, without invalidating the other paths you think you should be able to be beyond.
Hello, guys.
Good day, good day.
Good day. So good to virtually see you.
And you as well.
I have been recently very much excited about my life and about valuing myself, and that's a new thing. So yay to me.
All right, congratulations.
Just catching up, a little slim, a little, just perfect timing.
Yes.
And I've been having a lot of fun exploring around, being myself. I sometimes still get the reflections in the outside of resistance, but I know that's just an illusion, and I just laugh at it and sell my deodorant anyway.
All right. Again,
So,
of course, it is the remembrance that it's not so much what happens, but it's about what you do with what happens that makes the difference.
okay, that's really good to remember. Because sometimes I do choose to match that lower frequency, because the negative belief is, well, this is my only option, and that's not true.
No, not at all. Never. There's always, always a path for you that works for you, that is representative of your truth. Always. You just have to have the willingness to open up your imagination and creativity to find it, or even invent it.
Yes. I also think I was buying into a belief, or even a definition about waiting or being in a lull of, okay, I'm waiting for something I prefer, or I'm being myself until something more preferable comes up and I want to interact. And I I was defining, excuse me, defining waiting for that as a lull and negative, and it's not. It's cool. I'm just going to be me until something shows up that I want to interact with.
Yes, and the more that you are willing to be you, you will find that you will accelerate what will come to you.
Yes, I'm learning that. I'm seeing that. I'm excited to be cat's got my tongue. To be more of myself in a specific area. I'm finding more like-minded people there, and um, I'm excited to explore my creative gifts. I've been seeing signs and symbols related to the hybrid kids. My symbol with them is starfish, so I've been seeing a lot of starfish synchronicities.
Yes.
And
Perhaps that's a good nickname for you.
yes, that is a good nickname for me. Are there any other symbols that they want to throw out there, or is that enough for now? Me and
That is enough for now. Starfish will do.
it will do very well. Um, yeah, so I think I've been defining meditation in a limiting way as well, which is
All right.
interesting to learn. I've been viewing it as a separation, like, okay, my life's so exciting. Okay, now I'm gonna go meditate over here.
Remember that following your passion is an active meditation.
Absolutely. There's no separation between meditation and acting on my excitement.
No, none. If you wish to meditate in the traditional sense, then you're simply following your passion. You're not doing anything other than that.
I think I was defining meditation as like, let me go be quiet for a while, and that's challenging
That's
sometimes.
all right. Being quiet for a while can also be an expression of your passion.
Yeah, I think I'm learning to redefine rest and recuperation and rejuvenation as all part of the excitement. And
Absolutely. It's not an interruption in it. Just as when you are acting on your passion and something may come up within you that represents a negative belief, then you have to understand that that's not an interruption in your excitement. It's part of your excitement to discover that so that you can let it go. So finding that you need rest and recuperation doesn't have to be seen as an interruption in your flow. It can actually be seen as part of your flow.
yes, the other redefinition I'm making is when being alone, I'm still with everyone, all connected with my guides, with all of us. It just I'm taking
Always.
that always. I'm just
Always.
taking that alone moment, but I've been defining it as
All right.
alone versus with people, which is again not correct.
All right. Well, it's not that it's not correct, it's simply a choice. So you can either see it as alone in the sense of separation, or you can see it as all one.
It's up to me,
It's up
100%.
to you. This is all about you understanding how important it is to learn what definitions work for you and what definitions do not.
Absolutely. And it's easier for me to discern now when I'm buying into these. So that is sinking in, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm just going to continue on that journey of realizing when I'm choosing to buy into a negative belief. And it's been fun. And I love you and our Bashar community so, so, so very much.
Our unconditional love to you as well, starfish.
Thank you so much, Bashar. Okay, one more question.
Yes.
The Pleiadians, they are our cousins and they are likely to visit Earth. Are they more, I know likely is such a relative term,
Well, they are visiting Earth quite often.
and they are going to be making open contact possibly even before the Yael or with at the same time?
That is not absolutely given, but the introduction of hybrids to human society and the introduction of Pleiadians to human society will occur somewhere around the same window of time. It is a little bit challenging at this point to say who will really be first. There may be a mix of things, but nevertheless, both of them are, shall we say, in the running to be up front, or at least within a similar window of time in the introduction of ETs to human society on Earth.
Is there any other race of beings that are in the running to be in the first couple?
How about letting Earth humans deal with hybrids and Pleiadians first?
Sounds great. Good idea.
All right. You'll
So
get
glad
used to
be
the
part of
different
it.
species over time. The introductions will happen as humans become ready for them. But let's start simply. Let's start with those that are most like you, so that there is some degree of familiarity in the sense, literally, of the word family. So that way you can absorb their existence, and we will talk a little bit more about this in the upcoming Sedona transmission.
Thank you so much, Bashar. I love you so much, and you get free deodorant, and I love you.
We thank you. We don't need the deodorant, but we thank you nonetheless.
Love you.
You as well. Good day.
Good day.
Hello, dear Bashar. My name is Nadezhda. I would like to ask you something. Could you please explain what is the reason for sudden death? My dad died on the 23rd of July. He fainted suddenly. Then after a few minutes he was conscious. We called the ambulance. The doctors got him in the ambulance, and 5 minutes later he stopped breathing. In the hospital they couldn't do anything to save him. Why would the soul choose this death and not instant recovery or to remain alive in a parallel reality, for example? I have prayed to God, all the archangels, to you, to my dad's parents, and my prayers didn't help to save his life. Why did the intelligence who creates worlds didn't manage to save his life? We have a camera in our house, and the camera stopped recording the whole day on the 23rd of July. It was nothing. What was the reason for that? 1 minute you are here alive, and in the next hour suddenly you are gone. Thank you. Aveo, much love.
The important thing here to understand is everyone chooses the timing of their death. It's not about being saved to be alive. You are invalidating the choice of that spirit to leave when he did. So don't invalidate those choices just because you miss that person or because you are going through grief or pain. Do not invalidate their choice. They're doing it for a reason, and you can benefit from that reason if you remain connected to their spirit. The reason that the camera didn't record anything is because exactly it wasn't supposed to. Because the idea is it was a symbol that he chose his life to be over at that point. There was nothing more to record, nothing more to do that you could have done. It's not about the idea of looking to God, goddess, or a larger intelligence to do something about it, because that intelligence is not going to contradict what the individual soul has chosen for the timing of its life experience and when it is done with what it is it came to do. So you have to start seeing all these things as the absolute valid choice that the spirit and soul made. You're taking away its choice to have a free will to determine what is correct for it by assuming that something went wrong. So understand that you both chose this, you both did it by agreement. It is for you now to stretch yourself into spirit, to open yourself up that you still have a connection to him, and that will stretch you to expand your consciousness and expand yourself to include the idea of the spirit realm in your physical life by knowing that he's still part of your family. You are not alone. He is there for you when you need him, But the idea is you can't invalidate his choices any more than you would want him to invalidate yours.
Ha'atu Bashar.
And to you as well. Good day.
Good day. It's an honor and a pleasure as always. I wanted to open up by asking, what is home?
Well, you have many sayings about that on your planet. Home is where the heart is. Home is wherever you are. Home is where you feel at home. So home, practically speaking, physically speaking, is the entire earth for humanity. That is your home. But real home is spirit. That's your home. That's where you are right now. That's where you never leave. So the spirit realm is your natural state, and your natural state is your true home.
Thank you. You said a few transmissions ago that homelessness is a relatively rare concept throughout the galaxy. Why do we have homelessness in our current society, and what are some permission slips we can do to help address the root cause if one is in it?
There are many different causes of the idea of someone being without a physical home on your planet. You almost have to take it, even though there is some generality to it, on a case-by-case basis, because each individual has their own reason for not having what they would perceive to be a functional shelter. Now, not everyone needs a physical shelter if the environment itself is conducive to them thriving without an actual physical shelter. But in general, you will find that a lot of it has to do with fear of control, a lot of lack of self-worth, a lot of different issues. There are some generalities, but you still have to go from person to person to find out what issue they are actually basing their experience of homelessness on. Because it can be many different things that have to do with belief systems about their relationship to humanity, belief systems about their relationship to connection and connectivity, belief systems about whether they are being controlled by living in a structured environment, all sorts of belief systems. You would have to ask each person individually what they are basing their situation on.
Okay. I think if I remember in the book, you said there's about 300,000 Essassani beings. Is that true? Or how many?
Yes, roughly, on average, we maintain our population around that number generally.
And what percent of them have had Earth incarnations?
About 15%.
Have any of them been people in our history that we may recognize, and may you share a few?
All right. Now, first of all, do you remember that all beings exist at the same time, and what you're calling reincarnation is an effect that you perceive from physical space-time reality and is not actually a description of the mechanism. No one has ever been anyone else. No one will ever be anyone else other than who they are right now, because everyone exists at the same time. So when you talk about the idea of incarnations, you're talking about the idea of beings making an energetic and informational connection to other beings that coexist in parallel timelines at exactly the same overall time that you exist. Do you understand this concept?
Yes.
So no one has ever been anyone else. So many beings in our world may connect energetically to a lot of beings in your world and other worlds as well that you know historically, but we are just clarifying no one has ever been, actually physically been, a historical being in your reality.
Okay. What do you do in your ship above Bell Rock? Are you always there?
In a manner of speaking, you would perceive that I am always there, but time for me is not what it is for you. I can experience the coming and going, while you may experience my constant being. So there are many things that I do. Aside from the idea of communicating with other civilizations as a first contact specialist, I can go literally physically to other planets on a different frequency, on a different timeline, and yet never appear to have left the area above Bell Rock from your perception.
That's pretty rad. Okay, next question is, why do cats have eyes sort of similar to reptiles, but all their big cat counterparts, like the cheetah, do not?
There is a connection in the eyes to the idea of humanity. For those that have the round pupils, there is a connection to other dimensions and other realities for those that have slits.
So kind of like goats do too.
But they have different kinds of slits. And that represents something different yet again.
What does it represent? I've worked with a lot of goats. I'm just curious.
It represents the idea of seeing different slices of reality that pertain, that have to do with the idea of communal animals, herd mentalities. It helps, shall we say, navigate the frequency of herd mentalities, of communal animals.
Got it. How can one travel in and out of the template level reality?
Well, you do it all the time when you are out of body, when you are dreaming.
Now, in the waking state, that is something that some people may be doing a little bit more consciously.
Yes, to some degree, and it has to do with being malleable and flexible with regard to your definitions of space and time. And this is, again, one of the reasons why we give you all the formula, so that as you raise your frequency by acting on your passion, not abandoning logic or anything like that, or analytical thinking, of course, but as you raise your frequency, you become capable of seeing through the projection of consciousness that physical reality is, and can start to see the underlying structure that you have created in your consciousness that represents your chosen experiences of physical reality, and that is the template. And you can manipulate it to a certain degree in terms of those experiences, but not to any great degree that will remove you from the path you have chosen to experience in this life in general.
Is that kind of like the samadhi state?
It is about becoming lucid in the physical dream.
Okay. Why is letting go of the ego, even to the extent of aiming to let go of it completely, part of some spiritual traditions?
That is a slight misunderstanding. It is not the idea of the ego vanishing. It is the idea of the negative ego not being allowed to express itself in that way. You need ego because ego is synonymous with simply the idea of the physical mind, and that device is used to perceive the concept of physical reality. So it's just that when you are in a flow, when you are matching the frequency of you creating your physical reality experience, it feels absolutely effortless, feels like your ego structure, your physical mind, is not doing anything at all. And that's what feels like it's not there, even though it is, because it's still allowing you to perceive the physical reality that you are creating, which is fundamentally the ego's only function, just to perceive physical reality.
Got it. How much and to what degree will our governments be involved with the idea of open contact?
To some degree, but not as much as they think.
Got it. How can one self-check the degree of relevance that a certain outcome or life trajectory pertains to oneself?
By always using the fourth principle of the formula of staying in a positive state and remembering that it doesn't matter what happens, it only matters what you do with what happens that makes the difference on your path. So by staying in that state, no matter what manifests, you will always be able to gain a benefit that will give you the lesson you need to learn, that you chose to learn in this life, to face the challenges that you chose to face.
Thank you. That one took me a few years to really understand, but
That is
walking that
perfectly
one.
fine.
What is the ETA of free energy devices on our current timeline?
Possibly somewhere within the next 10 to 20 of your years at the most.
Okay, and my last question, what is the long-term goal of the social experiment we are in the middle of?
It's not so much the idea of a goal as it is an opportunity to gauge how ready you decide you all are to have open contact with other species.
Okay, well, with that, greatly appreciate everything you do. I'll catch you at Bell Rock, and Aveo.
Aveo. Good day.
Hi, Bashar. So I was very excited to connect with you and your videos and have a lot of help with me. So, but I have my question is that once in a video you told me that we should to separate the job between our physical mind and higher mind. It's very difficult for us to connect with higher mind and how to speak with them. So can you tell me more about how to connect with high self and how to shun the job between the physical body and physical mind and the higher mind, and how to download our job rather than to take the burden of higher self? Thank you very much.
This is why we give you the formula. It helps that idea come about. It helps you remember that you are connected as the higher mind. Following your passion is responding to a message and a communication from the soul, from the higher mind. So understand the formula and follow the formula as precisely as possible, and you will start experiencing more synchronicity, which will bring you the realization that you are more consciously connecting with your soul, with your higher mind, which is all that your higher mind is. It is the soul that remains in non-physical reality, while you experience a part of your soul experiencing the idea you call physical reality.
Hey, what's going on, Bashar? It's Rohan, aka RX Mundi from Bucks County, PA. Back with another question. So the challenge I'm currently facing has to do with confidence, and I'm wondering if you could provide any insight as to where confidence inherently comes from. I've heard it said in self-help circles that confidence is something you have to build, and things like practicing or going to the gym can build confidence. But I've also heard you say that even when you're not confident, that's something that you're confident in. So I'm wondering, what could help me as an aspiring professional speaker as well as a rap artist? What could help me in the now moment when I'm on stage not be so nervous and actually deliver the best talk that I could possibly give, as opposed to putting my confidence in what I don't prefer, which is messing up on stage or things of that nature. So, again, as always appreciate your time, and thanks so much, Bashar. Aveo.
All right. Now, this can involve all sorts of different levels of emotional complexity. Because if you understand the process, if you understand that you are always confident about something, which clearly you understand that concept, but you are still choosing to place your confidence in the idea that you lack confidence, then going back to the motivational mechanism that exists in all of you, there must be a reason for doing that you think benefits you. So you have to explore why you would think being confident about having no confidence benefits you, of why having confidence in the fact or the idea or the belief that you would have to be nervous or stumbling or not deliver the information properly or any of these ideas in some way, shape, or form benefits you. Sometimes it can be that then you can say as an excuse, well, I didn't really perform well because I simply didn't have the ability to perform well. That's just an example. But it gives you a reason for doing something that you don't prefer to do. So you have to let go of needing reasons for things that might happen and be okay with whatever happens. you can, in a sense, laugh it off. It doesn't really matter, ultimately, whether you stumble in delivering information to people or not. It doesn't really ultimately matter. The crowd that is listening to you is encouraging you. They want you to succeed. You have to understand that they're there for you. They're there for themselves, to be there for you, to give them what they need. So they're supporting you. They're with you. And it doesn't matter if you're absolutely perfect or not when you deliver that information in whatever style you deliver it in, no matter what that format is. The idea is to understand that you can't be your idea of perfect all the time, because perfection is not a goal. Perfection is a process. You're always perfect as you are at the moment, and you will always improve and you will always be better. And if you're okay with the process of constantly becoming more, constantly becoming better, constantly improving, then it won't matter what happens at the moment, because we know that your intent and your earnestness are there. You are attempting to be of service to them, and it is from that heart space that you're coming. Therefore, people will look aside from any little gaffes, any little stumbles. They will see you as simply human. They will relate to you more readily that way. You will be matching what they themselves feel within themselves, because you're the one there delivering. You're the one that's on stage, being confident enough to be there to reflect to them a lot of what they're going through in their emotional complexity, saying, oh, I'm glad he's over there doing that, because I could never do that. So I appreciate that he is doing that for me and being of service to me, because I could never do that. Now, of course, you doing it can serve as a living example of the fact that they could learn to do that too, but they're in deep appreciation that you're the one on the stage doing it, so they don't have to feel nervous being up there doing it, because they know that you're a reflection of what they could be doing in their own life, in their own way, that would be reflective and representative of them being their true selves as well. So they only have deep appreciation for you. So in a sense, it doesn't really matter whether you stumble through it or not. You are, and always capable of, saying to them, you know, I am just having this moment. I am glad that you are all here joining me in this moment. I am simply fumbling through this, but I appreciate that you are supporting me in the doing of this. Let's all do this together and move on, and you will find that you will improve. So it's about not really being so focused on the idea of being perfect, and just delivering from your heart and letting them know that that's what you're doing, no matter how it comes out.
Hello, Mr. B. Good to be together with all of you.
Good day.
I have a question that's going on in our civilization right
Yes.
now, and that has a lot of conflicting beliefs and ways to handle it, is the border, which you've talked about as well. And so we've had the biggest influx of people, through the border in the last 4 years, and it's caused a lot of crime and a lot of drugs into America.
Not as much as you think. In fact, most of the crime and the drugs does not come from the people crossing into your borders. It comes from people that are already in your borders.
Yes, I understand. So those people higher up, maybe even in the government, that are responsible for this trade. Okay, that goes to the deeper root of the issue. So that's good. But as far as still the crime and how to handle these things, like I'm, personally on the two views of how to handle these things. I understand, it's all about love, expansion, inclusion, and really taking care of everyone.
Well, it's about getting to the root causes that people feel they need to commit crimes to resolve. So it's all about the idea of dealing with people on a level where you can help them understand why they may feel powerless, why they may feel worthless, why they may feel undeserving, and why they lash out because of those belief systems. In other words, I'm going to put it in this particular way. People that use force, people that use weapons, are of the belief that they are so powerless that they cannot get what they need in life without them. So you have to address the idea of why these people feel powerless, why they feel disconnected. You have to address the emotional, psychological patterns. You have to break the chains of victimhood and victimization and abuse that has existed in your society for hundreds, if not thousands of years. You have to get to the root causes and understand that rehabilitation must involve an honest investigation on the part of everyone about the idea of why humans often feel so dissociated and so disconnected from their self-empowerment, from source, from their spiritual nature. You have to bring people back into remembering who they truly are. Take them through exercises that reconnect them in their mind to the idea of their power as a spirit, to their nature as a being, as an aspect, as a reflection of all that is. If you don't address these things, you will never resolve the idea of crime.
I love that, Bashar, because what I get from that is taking the steps to inclusion to include other people immediately diffuse a lot of scarcity right there.
Yes, let me give you an example. If you have not already heard it, this comes from an actual incident that occurred on your planet, where a young person came into a bank with a gun intending to rob the bank. All of the people were very afraid and fell to the floor, as he commanded them to do, except for one teller. This woman saw the pain, the anguish within that individual, and stood up and said, "Let me help you. Why are you in so much pain that you feel the need to do this to get what you need? Let me help you. Talk to me. Let me talk to you. Let me find out why you feel so powerless that you need to do this." And this woman engaged this person so deeply, so honestly, and so truthfully that this young person finally simply handed her his gun and turned himself over to the authorities, and was helped by going into therapy rather than going into jail, which would have only exacerbated his condition. So it takes these kinds of actions and these kinds of people who stand strong within their own spiritual fortitude to see what's needed in somebody who believes that they lack that connection in order to turn this around. That's what it takes.
I love that, Bashar. Thank you very much, because I've been of the belief of, um, maybe taking actions of, it's always important to have a level of awareness of defense to take care of situations. But I
Of
feel in that
course.
concept of defense, often people forget about the heart of the issue and they just think about me, instead
Yes.
about us.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
It's about the lack of connection and the lack of community that exists in a society where everyone is focused only on themselves instead of the service to others, which includes service to self, because you are part of the whole. So serving the whole will serve the individual, but serving the individual often does not serve the whole.
Beautiful. Thank you. That is a huge shift for me, just in terms of it's all about teaching and healing and
Yes,
being and
absolutely.
education. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Education is the answer.
Thank
Okay.
you for your willingness to experience the openness of receiving that information.
Yes, because I was very resistive of the idea, and so it feels good to be able to ponder both sides.
All right. We thank you. Aveo.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Bashar. My name is Cassandra, and I consider myself as being awareness of awareness, and I'm aware that I'm aware of this. I've had 3 near-death experiences in my life that I have recently found out has been the attempt of a higher entity consciousness trying to integrate with my human aspect here on Earth. And every single time they have tried to integrate, my human aspect has run away scared because of the vibrational frequency difference. I am just wondering if you can help me integrate harmoniously with them so I can form a stronger connection and communication channel, and also how I can relate to other humans now.
As we have said, the idea is that sometimes the physical body, when exposed to higher frequency energies, may react as if it is dying and go into survival mode, fight or flight mode. It is something that the human physical form needs to get used to, but as it raises its own frequency, by following the formula, by following your passion, by being your true self, the frequency will raise ultimately sufficiently so that the human body will not react anymore in survival mode to the exposure to other high frequencies, because you will be closer to matching those frequencies and it will start to feel natural. So the key is in raising your own frequency by following your passion, by following the formula, by being your true self, so that you can allow your body to get used to those higher frequencies and it won't interpret those higher frequencies as if they are being approached by spirit, which is usually interpreted by the physical form as the physical body being about to die. But it's not going to die. And in conjunction with raising your frequency, you can, again, as we have recently said, have conversations with your body. Take quiet moments and have conversations with your physical mind from the soul that lets it know it's going to be included in the raising of the vibrational frequency into a fourth density physical being, and it will not be left behind, it will not be annihilated, it will not die. This is a natural process it can participate in, and it can go along for the ride. But it must be willing to change and become more than it has been in the past. So have these conversations while you are also acting on your passion to raise your vibrational frequency, and then you will be more receptive and a better antenna to receive higher frequency vibrations and information from other beings that may be attempting to make connections with you.
Hi, Bashar.
Molly, Mother of Seven.
We have a lot of exciting questions from our audience today.
All right, please proceed.
Are there any specific areas or places that you would recommend we form our meetups for step six of the social experiment?
We have already named the area you know as Joshua Tree in your California area as one such place. There are many such places around your planet. We would simply suggest that you choose those that have a modicum of isolation, such as the deserts, such as the forests, things like that, areas like that.
You mentioned using lights to communicate with UFOs. So are there any sounds that UFOs would respond to?
You may utilize the traditional Om meditation.
Thank you. Are natural places that have lots of noise and echoes from the city a fitting place for group gatherings in case there are no quiet sites?
It is not beyond you to be able to go to a place that is quieter. However, if for some reason you all feel that that is simply not something you can achieve, then allow yourselves to imagine a bubble of solitude around you, like a force field, and quietness within. Now, the quietness may not actually happen physically, but if you imagine that your collective vibrations are creating a bubble reality of a specific frequency that will allow your intention to be received properly, then you can do it that way as well. However, again, we would suggest that it might be easier for many of you to actually travel to a place that is quieter.
Thank you. If we were to send invites to ships individually and not join in a group, would that be less significant or not effective at all? Do we have to do this in groups?
No, you do not have to. However, if you do it in individual form or smaller groups, 2, 3, it will be more dependent upon your particular soul's life path as to how it is that contact may happen and when. So a group can actually, to some degree, be representative of an agreement that a group has made for acceleration of such contact, whereas an individual may find that the contact will take its cue more from that individual's life path, and it may be somewhat different than would be experienced in a collective group.
Could you describe a very unusual way to make ET contact that no one has thought of as of yet?
A very unusual way that can occur but is rare goes back to the mirror meditation that we talked about some time ago, where you are looking in the reflection of a mirror and understanding that this may be a window into a parallel reality. You can make a slight shift in this meditation by looking in the mirror and imagining that an ET presence will actually make itself known in the reflection. So this is an unusual and rare way that can happen in some parallel realities for initiating the idea of the vibration necessary for contact by using a mirror as a conduit in this way.
Once open contact occurs, will it be universally accepted across all fields that humans are aware of ET existence, or will this only occur if people accept and shift to a 5D Earth reality?
Well, not 5D physically. 5D is non-physical, but you're tapping into fifth dimensional energy and adding it to your third density vibration physically to create the fourth density physical reality experience. So let us be clear about that. The idea is no, not everyone will be aware of this because, again, you are shifting to different parallel reality versions of Earth, some of which have not agreed to have contact. So there will be those who may exist among you now in the Earth that you are each co-creating that seems similar, but they may diverge into a version of Earth if they are not ready for contact that will not experience contact. Only those that are ready for contact and willing to move in the direction of the expansion of consciousness, spirituality, and connection and community with extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional and spirit beings will be the ones who will experience going to, shifting to versions of Earth that experience the idea of open contact. It is not for everyone.
Is there a possibility that some of the volunteer groups will include hybrids helping to prepare Earth for first contact? Will any precursors join groups to help us organize efficiently? Also, will any of the ETs that can make us forget that we saw them give us inspiration and ideas to move the first contact mission along?
I will generally answer yes to all of that. However, it will be something that may occur more in a few years as opposed to right away. In the beginnings, you may have some help telepathically from the beings that you have mentioned in this question, but they will not necessarily physically join you until sometime in the future to help perpetuate the idea and expand the idea of open contact once you have begun the momentum with their assistance and the assistance of your spirit team and spirit guides and soul family to get the ball rolling and then make the vibration possible for these other beings to come in, hybrids, precursors, when and where necessary in the future to ramp up the vibration and increase the acceleration of the momentum. But that will not happen first. You have to get the ball rolling first. Then they will join you eventually. But I cannot say exactly when this will occur. It will be in the years ahead.
Okay. When open contact occurs, will humans with physical ailments who might want to go on long trips on Yael ships or underwater bases be accommodated beyond just food and beverage? For instance, how do you address a human passenger who might need regular kidney dialysis, or a passenger who requires a wheelchair, or a passenger who is blind?
This, of course, will depend upon the individual life path that these beings have chosen in terms of what they have chosen to experience during open contact. Some of them will experience healings. Some of them will be taken through processes that will allow them to experience whatever it is that is important for them to experience, even if it only happens telepathically. For example, a person who is physically blind may be allowed to see things not necessarily with their eyes, but in their mind telepathically. So it may not necessarily be of importance that they see physically. They will get and receive what it is they need to receive. For those whose life path includes the choice of actually having their physical blindness changed and healed, then that will happen for them. But again, you must take this on a case-by-case basis as to what is relevant for that individual's life path.
For step 3, you suggested sending out a massive amount of letters to officials every 3 months. Why is this preferred rather than sending out smaller amounts of letters more frequently than every 3 months? I feel that moderation feels more balanced for my daily life, but I'm open to hearing the reasons why bulk mailing all at once is more efficient.
As you have pointed out in the question itself, and as we have reminded you along the way, all of these presentations of steps are suggestions. You may alter them in whatever way, shape, or form your passion allows you to do so. Your imagination and creativity feels right for you and what fits for you. We have always said this. For some individuals that are receiving these letters, they will not necessarily respond to them unless they receive a lot of them in short order, in a quick amount of time. So it is initially designed by our suggestion to allow those individuals who might be more resistant to responding to these letters to receive enough of them that it reaches their critical threshold of response, to let them know how, shall we say, serious the request is by the number of suggestions and requests that they receive. So it is first and foremost designed for those individuals who might be more resistant. But again, whatever it is that works for you in your imagination, by all means, you are free to adapt the suggestion and the step in the way that works for you.
It's been over 3 months since the instruction. How are we doing?
You are doing fine, as evidenced by some of the changes that are now in the process of occurring in your society.
Wonderful. Could you please share some details on how encountering interdimensional or ETs affect us physically, mentally, and emotionally?
Well, again, the idea is exposure to the higher frequencies of many extra-dimensional and extraterrestrial beings give you an opportunity to experience the upliftment of your vibration in the attempt to match the frequency of those beings, which automatically puts you in touch with any belief systems along with their attendant emotions and thought patterns and behaviors to examine more clearly, more deeply, the idea of what beliefs you wish to hold on to and which beliefs you wish to let go of, which will automatically alter the emotions, thoughts, and behaviors that you experience in your life. So exposure to those frequencies is an opportunity to, as we often say, examine your beliefs and clean out your attic of anything that is not aligned with your core frequency to make yourselves more vibrationally compatible to the concept and experience of open contact.
And along those lines, are they the same or similar symptoms that we're going to be experiencing as we ascend or ascension experiences?
Yes.
How long will it take us to no longer use languages as our primary source of communication and replace it with telepathy?
If you're referring to the entire society that will shift to a version of Earth that experiences open contact and continues to be exposed to telepathic communication from ETs, spirits, extra-dimensional beings, you will find that over the course of several decades, humanity can achieve mostly telepathic communication. So we would say anywhere from 50 to 70 to 100 of your years may be what will allow humanity to start experiencing telepathy more often. It doesn't mean that your language will completely go away. Our language hasn't completely gone away, even though we have been communicating telepathically for thousands of years. So the idea is you will maintain a connection for a variety of reasons that will allow you to communicate with other beings who may not experience telepathic communication. Nevertheless, you will find that as you shift more and more to the versions of Earth that experience more expansiveness within open contact and more exposure to telepathic beings, that it will become more natural for humanity to experience telepathy in its society over the course of the next 50 to 100 of your years.
So most of the babies being born today will experience this.
A lot of them will, yes.
You've talked about how the creation of the seventh hybrid race, the Anuhet, will usher in 100,000 years of peace throughout the galaxy. Why doesn't the peace last longer than that, and what happens after that?
I am not saying the peace cannot last longer, but what I am saying is that it is 100,000 years of peace under the present arrangement of the Anuhet. There are other things that will happen after that. The peace may continue, but it will continue in a different way with a different grouping of individual beings. The idea is that your galaxy will go through a particular cycle that will allow for different beings to experience new cycles of awareness, new experiences as they have chosen to experience them. So it's not that the peace can't continue. We're simply talking about 100,000 years of peace under what you might term the present administration of the galaxy.
When you introduce, says UFO, so ET ships to our society, will it affect our use of automobiles?
In some areas, it may. It depends. There will be other modes of transportation ultimately, of course, that will allow you to let go of the idea of your automobiles as you use them today. The introduction of new technologies will certainly replace them eventually with many modes of transportation.
Why did you choose to incarnate on Earth as Daryl now, given that this is your only life here, as mentioned in an earlier transmission?
To deliver information to Earth society at the time most conducive for the shifting toward open contact.
Who created the technology for our souls to have a human physical and subconscious experience?
Your spirits did. Your souls did. If you're talking about the idea of why it exists that way fundamentally, well, again, that's simply part of all that is to experience itself this way in what you term the experience of physical reality in this particular dimension. There are other ways to experience physicality. There are other ways to compartmentalize and experience psychological effects in different parallel realities. But in this particular timeline, this is the way physical reality is experienced. This is the mechanism or the quote-unquote technology, as you have called it, of how the soul experiences itself as a physical being.
How many humanoid beings are there in the Milky Way and neighboring galaxies that we interact with on some level?
You interact with an absolute minority of humanoid beings. There are many, many, many humanoid beings, millions upon millions of humanoid beings, and millions upon millions upon millions of others that are not humanoid at all. You interact with a very small fraction of humanoid beings, mostly Pleiadians and hybrids and grays, some others as well. Sirius can be considered to be somewhat humanoid, even though they are amphibious and bear more resemblance to the idea of a salamander, but still possessing the bilateral symmetry of a head, two arms, two legs, which you would loosely call humanoid. But you interact with a very, very small fraction of the humanoid beings that do exist, and an even smaller fraction of beings that are not humanoid at all.
And what's the difference between the Shyalanaya, the hybrid children, and the Yael hybrid race?
The Yael are the fifth hybrid race. The Shalanaya is the same thing as the hybrid children. Shalanaya simply means those who will come first, those who will come to live among you first. So that is the hybrid children. Shalanaya are the hybrid children. Yael are their overseers, their caretakers, the fifth hybrid race that will ultimately be introduced to you, but will not necessarily be the ones to ultimately live among you first.
I'm going to shift over to some current event questions.
Yes.
Is the outcome of the coming presidential election in the US on November 5th, 2024, significant for open contact?
It is absolutely significant. And it is a representation of an acceleration. You have skipped over 2 election cycles into the future.
This question concerns the US elections again, but not about who will win. You mentioned that there will be an election leading to changes in how they are conducted. However, elections still seem to be largely the same, particularly in their negativity. Given the unusual nature of this year, is this the election you were referring to?
Yes, this is the beginning of great changes upon your planet over the next several years. Different things will be introduced to your society that will accelerate the changes you are now beginning to see with this election cycle.
I'm from Israel. I've been reading, writing, and working for the Knowledge Book by Mevlana for years, with the mission of connecting humanity, bringing peace to the world, and preparing ourselves for open contact. Is this the right thing to do? Do we need peace before we can contact ETs? What can we do to enhance peace and speed up the process for peace in the Middle East?
Yes, peace is very important for contact with extraterrestrial beings. The idea, again, is that in that area, the entire concept of victimization, the entire concept of avenging wrongs must be abandoned, and real communication must be installed in order for peace to occur in that area. Not only communication with each other, but communication within the self, and letting go of fear-based beliefs and the idea of holding on to victimization, which causes the idea of retribution to be an endless cycle.
Is there anything that we can do, people who aren't in that location, to help with that process?
You can increase the communication of your diplomatic attempts to resolve situations peacefully and to allow people, if they are willing, to get in touch again, with their fear-based beliefs, with their anger, with the things that they feel justified doing that are not representative of justifications, but only of retributions, and not representative of justice at all. The idea must be that whatever communications can occur to help people get in touch with themselves, to let go of victimization, will be of great benefit to the area. Connection, community, communication.
Thank you. You mentioned that the female form is an upgrade from the male form. In a general sense, if women are uplifted in high positions of government and leadership in our world, is this a reflection that we have upgraded our entire collective and are potentially closer to being ready for open contact?
Yes.
As you read our collective energy in this moment, can you tell us if our use of programmable AI reflects a significant acceleration in our collective vibration overall since we have started using it?
Yes.
It sounds like we are on the right track.
Yes.
Is there a place on this planet less affected by modern pollution, such as nuclear plants, mining, gas pipelines, and aerial pesticide spraying? Or is the global climate such that there's no escape from these challenges? Alternatively, are we as species becoming less affected by these issues?
There is no place that is not affected by the pollution on your planet. As you raise your vibration and make different changes, you can mitigate some of this. And as you shift to different versions of Earth, then you will not create these things and therefore no longer be affected, because you will be shifting to a reality and a version of yourself that never was. But it requires the actions that you take in this version that will show the commitment to make the change and change the vibration that will shift you to the reality where you are not and never have been affected by these things, because they do not exist in those realities. Taking the actions in this timeline will allow you to navigate to the timelines where those actions never had to be taken. I understand this may sound paradoxical. Nevertheless, that's the way it works in a holographically structured reality.
I'm going to shift over to the nature and science questions.
Yes.
What existed before the Big Bang, and what happened before the Big Bang?
Other universes. Each universe is the product of a universe before it. A universe may expand, a universe may collapse. The collapse can create another universe in endless cycles, outward to infinity.
So does that mean it was a collapse from a different universe that created ours?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
One multiverse collapses into another multiverse.
Well, scientifically speaking, how does a particle know it is being observed?
It doesn't know it in the sense that you know somebody is watching you. Because remember, the particle is a product of the projection of your consciousness. So you know you are observing it, and therefore the particle takes its knowingness from you being the one that knows you're observing it. Because it's a projection of your consciousness, a reflection of your consciousness as you observe it. It doesn't know it independently.
This person says, I'm going on an Alaskan cruise next summer. I live far away from the ocean, and I'm excited to feel close to dolphins and whales. How can I best connect with them at that time?
Send them images of peaceful interaction with them. Send them unconditional love. Open up to receiving impressions, especially in your dream state, while you are closer among them. See what you receive. Respond telepathically to it in your imagination. It can increase, it can expand, it can accelerate. Visualize them surrounding you. Visualize yourself communicating with them.
I have heard that the Earth's magnetosphere has deteriorated so severely that no spacecraft has been able to enter it for more than 2 years. Is there any truth to this?
No. There has been shifting and deterioration. It does not in any way, shape, or form prevent spacecraft from entering your domain. Your world is full of portals. It's easy to enter your domain through these portals, regardless of what's going on with the magnetic shield around your planet.
Have you personally met the entity known as Jesus Christ or Yeshua ben Joseph? If so, what was your experience like? What role does he play on Earth, and what role will he play in our future, and including the distant future?
As already mentioned some time ago, we interact with the collective consciousness of your world, which you can refer to as either the Christ consciousness, the Buddha nature, the Krishna spirit, or by many other terminologies. It is an interaction not so much exactly with the personality you understand as Yeshua, but with the greater being of which Yeshua is a part, because we require permission to interact with your collective consciousness. So we do not intervene in your society in a way that does not in any way, shape, or form violate your free will choices of what direction you are evolving into. So we interact with it all the time, and it is no different for us to interact with the collective consciousness of your planet, represented by the idea for some of Yeshua or Christ consciousness, than it is for us to interact with our own collective consciousness, which is referred to as Shah.
Can you tell us more about Shah?
It is the representation of our collective consciousness of the Sasani people, that which we had described as the awakening over a 3-day period that allowed us to all become telepathic with one another.
So does that mean that Yeshua is unique to Earth?
Yes, there are similarities to different collectives that exist in other civilizations, but the particular personalization you know as Yeshua is unique to Earth.
You've mentioned that in addition to your civilization, there are 6 other hybrid races containing human DNA, with Earth becoming one of them.
Earth is becoming the 6th. There are 5 other hybrid races. If you want to include the hybrid children, you could say that is also a 6th. But there are 5 basic hybrid races, and Earth is becoming the 6th hybrid race. That is what will be helped by the Shalanaya, by the hybrid children, in mixing with humanity to become the 6th hybrid race.
This person is asking, was the human DNA mixed with ET DNA in the far past more than once? So we know it was created to create us, mixed to create us. But were there any other attempts of mixing the DNA?
Yes, the creation of the hybrid children involved great mixing of genetic material by the Greys. It is an experiment that lasts a long time. It is utilizing many different genetic strains for optimization of the hybrid children, and therefore those that are part of the hybridization program have been, in a sense, genetically mixed ever since the hybridization agenda began in your timeline.
Was that about 6,000 years ago?
Approximately, though that is a very generalized timeline.
Talking about timelines, if our world is splitting into 2, and the people in the quote-unquote other world will eventually disappear from our reality, Does that mean the world's population will be cut in half? Will there be a mass die-off or exodus event?
Not necessarily, though some of that may occur. But the idea is that the worlds that you will shift to will have their own populations as well, representative of souls that have chosen to be a part of that reality. Now, it may not be the same level of population that you experience right now, but it doesn't mean that the population will be cut in half, because there are many different souls that will choose to have an incarnation in those versions of Earth that you will be shifting to, some of which may not be incarnated now.
And will the babies being born now and the children, will they be progressing to the positive Earth, or do we not know?
Most of them will be, because that is one of the reasons why many of them are choosing to be born at this time. And again, remembering that they are a new species that will not forget so much who they are, the vast majority of them will be part of the idea of open contact. There may be exceptions to this depending upon the life path that certain souls have chosen, and some of them may choose to go in directions where contact doesn't occur. But the vast majority of those being born today on your timeline have chosen this timeline specifically because of the experience of open contact that they will be of assistance in bringing about.
Is having contact with a deceased person the same as having contact with an AT? You once mentioned that on your planet you are in connection with the deceased ones from your civilization. How is this contact possible? Why can't we see with our eyes our deceased ones and ETs? Are there some techniques you can share?
As we have often said, following the formula, especially acting on your passion, will raise your vibration. Raising your vibration will make you a better receiver, a better antenna to receive higher frequency perception, which means your senses will become sharper to higher frequencies, which will ultimately allow you to actually physically perceive spirits and other things that are beyond the range of your senses today. So yes, this will be a natural evolution for humanity to be able to perceive these things in the same way that our civilization does at this point. There is a degree of difference between perceiving a spirit and perceiving an extraterrestrial, even though they may share similar frequencies. But what makes them an extraterrestrial as opposed to what makes them a spirit is, in and of itself, a degree of difference in terms of the expression of that vibration, the expression of that entity. But it's really kind of similar to the idea of saying red light and blue light are both electromagnetic energy, but there is a difference in how you perceive them because of their frequency. So even though there is a degree to which they are very similar, a plane on which they are almost identical as the same kind of energy, the difference in their frequency makes the experience of them feel different to you. And that's the difference between higher frequency ETs and spirit beings, even though they do share a common fundamental frequency that allows them to exhibit traits that are similar in both cases.
This is a question about the actor and comedian Robin Williams. He was diagnosed with a rare brain disease called Lewy body dementia. Did his constant use of his brain and multi-access energetically wear out his brain? Or was he predisposed to this rare condition genetically?
It did not wear out his brain. This is part of the choice his spirit made for his soul's life path, to experience this in this way. We are not allowed to go into detail because of the survivors of the family of that particular individual. But this is part of his soul's life path that he chose before he was born, and it is something that aids and assists the different family members that remain to investigate and explore for their own soul's life paths as well.
There's an infinite number of parallel realities. Does this mean you're speaking to humankind? Does this mean that you are speaking to humankind in many parallel realities too? and that some of those realities are closer to open contact or are already there.
Yes. Other versions of me, I suppose you could say, are speaking to other civilizations, other versions of you in many other parallel realities simultaneously. I am generally aware of this, even though I don't have to be specifically aware of what's going on in each of those parallel realities, unless for some reason it is important for my life path to specifically know what those communications are all about. I do draw from them in general to aid and assist in each timeline that experiences open contact, to give a vibration off that is more conducive to each reality being more capable of choosing the direction of open contact, vibrationally speaking. So I use the connections in all those parallel realities to increase the probability and likelihood for other parallel realities who have chosen a higher probability of open contact to move it in its momentum in that direction.
What percentage of those realities have done open contact?
It is not exactly accurate to give you a percentage of something that is infinite.
Okay.
The idea of the experiences of open contact in different realities take many different forms and are not limited to the idea just of what you understand your Earth to be. There are many other versions of Earth as well that are totally dissimilar from what you understand your experience of Earth to be. So if I limit the answer to those versions of Earth that you would recognize as versions of Earth, then I could say that about 25 to 30% of those versions, those limited versions of Earth that you would recognize as versions of Earth, are experiencing open contact with respect to our involvement as opposed to other extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional involvement. So there are limitations within limitations that are specific, and compartmentalizations within compartmentalizations that are specific to certain kinds of open contact that are experienced by certain versions of Earth that you would recognize as being somewhat familiar, whereas there are many thousands of other versions that you wouldn't recognize as familiar at all.
Well, that sounds very promising and exciting.
All right.
You told a person that was connecting with a ship at night that those are not the ones you want to draw to you, that it is not safe. You also stated that we are in a bubble of protection on Earth at this time, and we can't be affected by negative beings. Does this mean we are protected but can choose to draw negative entities to us if we really want to?
Yes, you can do that. But what we meant by telling that person what we told them is that the energy was simply not right for them at this moment. They wouldn't have been able to handle it. It was not meant that they were attracting a negative being. It simply meant that they were not ready to handle the frequency, and it would have caused them to go into fear survival mode to have those interactions. We were not implying that those were negative beings.
How do the souls in this physical Earth reality who have attained the highest level of soul alignment, often referred to as masters, differ, if at all, from you and your people with regards to spiritual and soul alignment?
Well, again, as we gave the explanation before, they really only differ in the specific way in which they present themselves that is relevant for Earth's societies, as opposed to the way we present ourselves for our own societies. So there is a fundamental vibration that is similar, but the idea of the way it's expressed, of course, will be relevant for the societies with whom they interact more directly.
Do we experience ourselves as having a personality and things like thoughts and feelings, etc., on a soul and oversoul level? If so, how does that work? And generally, how is the experience of being on the soul or oversoul level different from our experience of having a human personality and being in physical reality?
You will not exactly have the personality, or let us put it this way, what you experience as the human personality will not be dominant on the soul level. It will be a part of you in much the same way, and we have used this analogy before, that your childhood personality is not dominant in you as an adult, but it's still a part of you. So you will recognize it as part of you as a soul, and the oversoul will recognize the individual soul as part of it, again, in much the same kind of an analogy, but it will not be the dominant part of it. It will not be a personality dominance as such. The difference will be more of a knowingness rather than a belief system that generates the personality. So you will simply know who you are, you will know what you need to know, and you will know what the connections you are creating will be all about. You will experience them in a very different way. It'll be more an experience of direct experience, direct knowingness, rather than the removal that you experience through the idea of a personality that seems more separated from source than the soul or the oversoul would experience. It is a more multidimensional experience, a more multi-connected experience. You see yourself from a multitude of different perspectives simultaneously than you experience as a physical being.
And on that note, is the life review experienced from the perspective of the personality self, the soul, or the oversoul?
It is experienced from both, in the sense that the soul experiences it more objectively, but experiences the idea of what the personality experienced or would experience if it still existed, because that gives context to the idea of what the personality's effect was on other personalities during the physical life experience. But the soul experiences all of that more objectively as a lesson plan, rather than experiencing it directly in the way the personality of a physical being would.
When a person is channeling a spirit or ET, is there always a version of the channeler's higher self coming through?
The higher self is always involved, in a sense, as a facilitator for the connections that a being may make to other beings. Yes, the higher mind is always the go-between, because that's your soul. And your soul, in its life path choices, has to be engaged and involved in any of those choices to connect to other beings. So the higher mind, which is synonymous with your soul, is always involved in the process.
This person says, I recently received your gifts, the contact crystal and crystal skull, and carry them with me all the time. Last week, I dreamt of a large black pyramid with sharp edges illuminated by white light floating in the sky. Could you please help me understand its meaning?
This is a higher dimensional version of what we have referred to as our phone number. The black equilateral triangle backlit against a black background by deep blue light. What you have done is dimensionalized it on a higher level. You now see it as an actual pyramid or tetrahedron that is backed by the white light of source, which is representative of our collective consciousness on a higher level. So you were tapping into our frequency on a higher level in a more multidimensional way.
Is there any point to praying, or is it a waste of time?
Nothing is a waste of time. It depends on how you approach it. And remember that praying is simply a present state of appreciation and gratitude for who you are and what you experience in the here and now. It's not about asking for things you don't have. That's not what praying is. It's about aligning with Source in a way that allows you to experience unconditional love, appreciation, and deep gratitude for who you are, how your life is unfolding at present, and the lessons that you are learning for your soul's growth. It is an experience of connection to Source and the infinite. It is not about the idea of asking for things. That's not what praying is. So, yes, it's not a waste of time. It is what connects you to Source more closely.
How is that different from meditation?
It doesn't have to necessarily be different, although, again, it's a matter of technique and how you use meditation and what you choose it to experience with it.
Are there any teachings or permission slips on this planet that are completely clear and entirely truthful? Or are there always distortions that require sorting through and discernment? Is there anything we can truly, fully trust and we can truly know that is the truth while we are here? Or is it always, or will it always be a hall of mirrors with different truths and perspectives?
The one truth you can always clearly trust is that all truths are true for different people. And that's why we give you the idea of permission slips, because each permission slip will work differently for different people if it allows them to reflect within themselves the ability to get in touch with their belief systems and let go and clarify themselves of those beliefs that aren't aligned with their core vibration. Then they will work for those people and give them the clear understanding and the clear truth about who and what they are as a reflection of Source, of existence, of the infinite. So all permission slips can be used to that end. They can be used positively or negatively. But the idea is you each are a clear truth, a clear reflection of all that is, but you are creating a situation and a circumstance where you use permission slips to discover that clarity, that truth of who you are within yourself. So you are going through a process of clarification.
Could you share how to feel empathy without feeling sad or sorry for another being? I don't want to victimize, but my heart still feels bad for those beings that are neglected and abused.
You don't have to judge the experience. Remove judgment from the equation, and empathy will not allow you to feel sad, but allow you to experience compassion in the same way that you would look at a child who simply hasn't reached a point of understanding of how something works. And you can have compassion, but you don't have to be sad because you understand they are on a learning path. They're on a learning journey. They will grow. If you feel the sadness, then you are evolving into judgment in that sense and actually no longer feeling empathy, but sympathy. You are aligning with their lower vibration, which doesn't serve you to serve them. Empathy is a vibration that allows you to identify and have compassion and understanding for what they're going through, but is a vibration that can also be sent to them to help them uplift themselves and learn what it is they need to learn that will serve them best. So stay in service as you pick up upon the vibrations and the lessons they are going through, but do not devolve down into sympathy to match their frequency, because then you are not helping them uplift themselves. So don't bring judgment into what they are experiencing, and you will not experience sadness. You will experience true empathy that gives them the opportunity to uplift themselves, and you will have compassion for them in the same way you would have with a child that is learning a lesson that's important for their life path.
So empathy uplifts them.
Yes.
And sympathy brings you down to that lower level.
Yes.
In the last transmission, you talked to somebody about highly sensitive people and how they're often as a result of trauma. If your definition of that kind of sensitivity, is your definition of that kind of sensitivity different from other kinds of sensitivity? It seems like, yes, there are trauma-based sensitivity, but also maybe other forms of energy awareness and kinds of sensitivity. Can you talk about different kinds of sensitivity? If there are different kinds and what makes a person more or less quote unquote sensitive? Also, what are some of the rules for sensitive people in the world and the reasons that one might choose?
I'm going to stop you right there. This is an extremely large subject we do not have time to address fully. There are different kinds of sensitivity, and there are different ways in which people have chosen to achieve the sensitivity that they experience in physical reality. Not all of them are the product of trauma, although some souls may have chosen that to ensure that they will have a certain kind of level of sensitivity to things, but they don't have to carry the idea of the trauma forward once they achieve the sensitivity. And there are those that have chosen other paths where they simply have natural sensitivity to things in a certain way. We cannot go deeply into this subject at this time. There isn't time to address all the different aspects and levels of this topic.
Is there ever a reason to overwhelm or push ourselves into something to grow or rush our progress? Or is it always possible to heal and expand in a way that feels healthy, gentle, and sustainable?
Always. There is always a way to do that. If you feel overwhelmed, then that should be a signal that you may not be going about it in the way that is most aligned with your path in the terms of passion and being of service. So overwhelm is your gauge to know when you need to look for another way that is more you to do the thing that you are passionate about doing, instead of doing it in a way that doesn't work for you. That's not necessarily your way of doing things that aligns with your core vibration. That's what overwhelm tells you. You need to go about it in a more efficient way that's more you.
Is it possible to take a wrong turn or make a wrong choice in life that affects your destiny? Or since we create our own reality, is that not really possible?
It's not really possible, because sometimes learning those lessons by doing what appears to be a mistaken path is actually part of the lesson you need to learn. So it's about course correcting as you go and using those apparently wrong choices as course correcting mechanisms to guide you in a way that will actually allow you to fulfill the path you chose for this life. So in that context, there really aren't any wrong paths, aren't any real mistakes if you use them that way, instead of becoming lost in the idea that you did something wrong, which then involves self-judgment, which again, paradoxically, can still be used as a lesson to be learned on your life path. So that involves your free will about how to respond to the choices that you make, not judge yourself for them, but learn from them in a positive way that will act as a guiding mechanism to allow you to accelerate the idea of how you experience your life path in a positive way, as opposed to decelerate you in learning your lessons on the life path in a negative way. Both can be instructive, but one can allow yourself to feel more effortless and joyful, and one can feel like more of a struggle. It's up to you to determine the way in which you go through life, the speed at which you go through life, how you experience those things with your free will and your response to what happens and the choices that you make.
Can you offer insight on why some people use helping others to avoid addressing their own needs or still feel unworthy after providing service?
Well, again, if you are not taking care of yourself, then you can't really be of help to any others in the overall sense. Yes, you may be able to perform some particular duty that does assist someone, but if you're doing that from a position and from a vibration where you don't feel worthy of doing that for yourself, then you're not really giving the others the full measure of the frequency and the vibration of assistance that you could be giving them in your service to them. So the idea of depriving yourself of that willingness, of that service, of that beingness, of that value, of that validity, actually shortchanges the service you're doing for others, because you're not giving them your full measure of being, because you're not taking care and honoring yourself or validating yourself as well. So you're not fully participating in the service that you're doing for others.
Could you explain how to move into a state of knowing immediately, to experience all the knowledge of a particular perspective now? So this person is asking this because she's taking a test to become a counselor, and she has trouble. She's had trouble in the past, and she doesn't want to repeat the test.
All right, I'm going to stop you right there. The process is the point. Learn to love the process. If you're going through a process, if you're struggling with taking the tests, even though the test represents something that you're passionate about, there's a reason for that. And knowing everything immediately is not why you chose to be physical. You chose to be physical to learn who you are by going through a process and discovering something new about yourself that will enrich your level of appreciation of having achieved what you're passionate about. Do not avoid the process. Learn to find your path through it that is representative of your joy. And do not allow yourself to denigrate or invalidate the process you have chosen to experience. Otherwise, you're not getting the value out of it that you engineered the process to give you. So don't be in a hurry. Just go through it. Do what you can to go through it in a way that allows you to enjoy it, to allow it to become part of your passion in going through it. And do not invalidate it. There's a reason why you're going through that process. Find out what it is. You will gain an appreciation of what you achieve as a result.
Thank you, Bashar. We've run up on time. Is there anything else that is important that you want to share with us?
Allow yourselves to know that you have accelerated greatly in the past few months and brought in more rapidly what you would term a future that is more resonant, more vibrationally aligned, and more highly probable in the direction of open contact. It is not so very far away in terms of time that it will begin. A couple of years. It is imminent in its beginning. Open up, participate, act, join, communicate, receive. We thank you, and now allow yourselves to go forward in this transmission by energizing yourselves to create gatherings, to reach out, to commune, and to invite contact into your reality in a more accelerated way, in a bigger scale, bigger scope. Have fun. Use your imaginations. Be creative. That is what will accelerate you most of all.
Thank you, Bashar.
You are welcome. And now you may continue in your imagination with the rest of this transmission. At this time, we would like you all, if you are willing, to relax, to breathe, and to reflect on the idea of what we have spoken of as the Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment Step 6, Gatherings. We will talk more about the idea of these gatherings as part of Open Contact in the Sedona transmission upcoming, but the idea for now is to use your inspiration and imagination and creativity to visualize the idea of you creating or joining gatherings at different places on your planet and having fun and experiencing love and joy in forming forms of communication, creating different forms of communication using light, using sound, using energy, using love, using telepathic projection, to invite ETs, spaceships, UFOs, UAPs, whatever you wish to call them and refer to us as, doesn't matter to us, but to invite us to connect, to form community, to receive and be open to your galactic family, to breathe it in and allow it to be real, for it is closer than you think. It is just around the corner. It is imminent. It is separated by the barest difference in frequency from where you are right now, and it is approaching. It is approaching. It is approaching. Be not afraid. You are simply seeing the reflection of your true selves in us. You are simply seeing the reflection of your true selves in us. We are a mirror for your soul to know yourself more fully, more completely, more transparently. To know yourself, to be yourself, to gather with like minds that are all connected as a greater aspect of all that is, not taking away from your individuality, but gathering together and being an expression of a greater part of the whole. So the whole can support you in its unconditional love, in the frequency of existence, and the frequency of eternity, in the frequency of infinity and limitlessness that is available to you as a spirit, as a soul, as a being, as an aspect and a reflection of all that is. Join us in this step 6 of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment. Allow it to become more real. Allow it to be within you, as a part of you, as your reality. Receive and give and be of service for those who wish it. It is your choice, as always. Our unconditional love to you all. We welcome you home to your spiritual selves. Continue to breathe every day, gently and easily, and breathe the dream into existence. Breathe the reality of contact into existence. Shift yourself through the billions of parallel versions of Earth toward and in the direction of those already experiencing contact. We will describe some specific scenarios that may be available to you to experience when contact begins in our upcoming Sedona transmission. So if you are willing, join us and participate. For the Sedona transmission and the description of the various scenarios of open contact will be the 7th step of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment. We thank you for your participation and your service. Aveo, our unconditional love to you all. Keep breathing, keep dreaming, keep being your true selves. Good day, and good night, and sweet dreams to you all.